And those theories predict either 7 or 9 extra dimensions. And so these scientists were able to map the brain and get exactly the same number, which that's the part of it for me that is, because the science of it, I'm not going to lie, is over my head. I can't do the math. But just the idea that the same numbers are predicted by string theory and by this brain mapping exercise is phenomenal to me. That feels like that it can't just be a coincidence.
Like there's actually some science to it. There's some proof.
Yeah, that I mean, if everything seems to agree on this, then even though we can't physically experience these dimensions, it would seem that the fact that they continually are predicted by various methods of science,
coming at it from different angles,
exactly.
And you all seem to come up with the same solution.
Right, lends a certain amount of credibility.
On the end, is this going to make my commute to work shorter?
Well, if you can build a flying car associated with this, because now we have
interdimensional travel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, that's a different form. That's entanglement
See, there
theory.
I go. Sorry about that.
That's entanglement theory that would actually be the foundation for something like a teleportation device. But that is not an article that I had
read
sent you
this week. Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of the stuff that's going on in my world right now. I'm super excited about all of that, and I am having a great day, a great week. I hope everybody else is having a great weekend leading into the 4th of July holiday. And here's the thing. I'm not really a 4th of July guy. So are you a 4th of July guy?
What does that mean?
Well, do you like 4th of July?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
I don't. I mean, there's what is there not to really like about it?
Well,
it's a chance to spend time with people you like, generally, right. And that's another good day.
Yeah, and I'm all for that. I'm just not I'm not a big fireworks guy, which is ironic because I want fireworks at my daughter's wedding, but I don't really love 4th of July fireworks. But my daughter really likes fireworks.
So do it.
Yeah. So
my cousin had them at her wedding. Do it. It's awesome.
It was awesome.
Oh, it was great. Walked outside after all the dancing. There they were.
Yeah.
She got married on July 4th, so it all fit. It all fit perfectly.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, that's fantastic.
So do it. I mean, I like going to see fireworks. I like enjoying them from afar.
Yeah.
I don't like being up there close to them.
Yeah.
I don't like being near anybody touching them or doing them themselves. That's, So I mean, but that doesn't necessarily mean I don't care for the holiday.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that this is associated. My assumption is that it is associated because it happened, and so I'm associating it. But when I was really, really young, we were at a park watching fireworks, and an ember actually from one of the fireworks, one of those burning chunks of magnesium, actually fell from the sky, and the gal that had taken us, she was a beautician. That was her trade, and so she always wore one of those beautician smocks. Back in the day, the beauticians always wore a smock like a lab coat, and it hit her smock, and actually it didn't set her on fire, and nobody was injured, but it hit her smock, and it actually burned through her smock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it freaked me out.
So you had a traumatic experience that you associate with 4th of July.
Right, and so now that just is something that I have in my head. But so we're going to try and have the fireworks, and I think that that's going to be something that is going to be really fantastic. But the point is, it's a 4th of July weekend. For those people who are really into 4th of July, have a great and safe holiday. I hope everybody's having as good of a week and a weekend as I am. And I want to, before we get ready to go to the first break, to make the big announcement for anybody who is a big DGS fan. Dave is actually going to be on the show next week. So if you like the Dave Glover Show and you would like to hear something a little different, maybe a little more unique, then a little bit more intimate opportunity to hear Dave talk about some things, then certainly tune in to the show next week. Or again, you can always podcast the show, michaelmahon.org. But we're going to have some time with Dave, and I'm going to talk to him about some of his experiences in the field, because obviously this is something that is intriguing to me. So I always like to tap his knowledge of the profession of radio. We're going to talk about the 40K, which is amazing to me. So have you ever heard of that?
Not a clue.
I mean,
well, I've heard of this event.
No,
yes,
no,
but I've never heard of
But
it.
have you ever? I mean, I just can't imagine there are very many shows that have 4,000.
Think of the hours and hours of airtime.
I know,
it's incredible.
I mean, if they told you it was 4,000 hours of radio, you'd be like, "Wow, that's incredible." If they told you that it was 4,000 shows, that is absolutely amazing to me. So he'll be here. He'll be talking about that, his experiences in radio. We might even be able to get him to talk about some intimate things about his life, and see if we can get some behind-the-scenes information from him. Before we go to break, just want to mention we are now in the process of trying to market Psych with Mike a little bit more and get some additional broadcasters on board. So you're going to start hearing some additional broadcasters being brought in, trying to make the show a little bit more financially attractive to the station. And as always, you've heard Dave talk about this. You've heard lots of people talk about this in other formats. I'm sure, you guys drive this engine, and the way that you do that is by supporting the sponsors. So if you like Psych with Mike and you hear a sponsor for a service that you might use anyway, then if you actually go and mention Psych with Mike at that venue, that is something that then helps to support the show. So we're going to go to our first break. When we come back, we're going to start talking about affairs and what that is like in therapy. Be right back.
Talk lines are open now, 314-969-9797 or toll free 866-455-9797. This is Psych with Mike. Do you stream FM News Talk 97.1 on your phone? Check out Next Radio. It's an FM tuner built into your phone, so you can stop using up data and save your battery. More details at 971talk.com/nextradio.
A summer clearance event. Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram buyers. Royal Gate is out to crush the competition because we are the driving force, with pricing no one else will even or ever offer. Trade-in money you'll never see from them, regardless of the trade's condition or how much you still owe, and credit approvals that make all the deals work. Shop RoyalGateCars.com and see what makes us number one for all the right reasons. Royal Gate, the driving force.
Hi, this is Curtis Stone. You name a dish and I've prepared it thousands of times. But even I can't cook enough to feed all of the 17 million kids in America who are struggling with hunger. That's where the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks comes in. They gather surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families. We call them food angels, and you can be one too. Earn your wings at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
It's 6:42 p.m. Time for Steve Plotto and his son Dylan to do the dishes. They talk about everything from the yuckiness of girls to the awesomeness of his soccer team. Sometimes they don't talk at all. Then, hey! The dreaded splash fight. It's Dad o'clock, and it's the best time of the day. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
According to our accusers, the free market is stealing all of our manufacturing jobs, letting our competitors humiliate us, and ruining our culture. Ouch.
This is the Free Market Minute with Dr. Rachel Duchant.
There are certainly trade-offs, but the free market is a win-win deal. Just because trade with another country makes them richer doesn't make us poorer. We get their products cheaper. It's not their fault that we're losing manufacturing jobs. That's mostly due to automation. We're becoming a service and information economy. Every culture at every time in history warned that the new generation is going to hell in a handbasket. I know we have issues, but if the disco era couldn't destroy American culture, Snapchat isn't going to do it. We have plenty of work to do, my friends, and free markets must be a part of it.
To learn more, visit Hammond.Institute. The Free Market Minute is a service of the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
The news of the day.
We raised the global baseline of aviation security. Kate's Law and the No Sanctuary for Criminals Act.
Every day.
Passing these life-saving measures in the House.
To scare the American people.
St. Louis's FM News Talk.
Travel ban.
Going to make us safer.
And we're going to repeal and replace.
We're at impasse. Get this passed.
FM News Talk 97.1.
Go back to the drawing board.
Younger, smarter.
Process moving forward swiftly and
better.
Now, more Psych with Mike on FM News Talk 97.1.
Welcome back into the Royal Gate Dodge Studios. This is Psych with Mike. We are back after our first break, and earlier I was talking about that I had floated today, and I have, there we go. Now, yeah, down with it. So we are doing mechanical things. My headphones were, that's perfect. My headphones were not working because they had partially come out of their plug. So that's why they weren't working. So I am asking intrepid producer Frank to turn my headphones up and turn my headphones down because I was trying to fix the plug. All right, so I had talked earlier about the fact that I was feeling great because I had floated today, and I wanted to tell you guys about a new sponsor that is with us, Studio Anew, which is in Crestwood. And the reason that I actually had originally found them is because the gal that cuts my hair actually works there. So this is not only a flotation place where you can go and float, but it's also a complete service spa. So they have not only the float center, but they have massage, they have skin treatments, so they have facials, they have peels, they have waxing, they do nails, they do hair. As I said, my stylist actually works there. Their number is area code 314-858-9595. They're at 9901 Watson Road, Suite 101 in Crestwood. And the thing that is so fantastic about floating is I'd told you earlier a couple of weeks ago that my daughter's Beyonce had stayed over one night, and he had actually worked out with me, and that I was
beaten.
Yes,
soundly.
That's we'll say that. I don't want to admit it, but yes, that's actually true. And actually, I was still suffering even last night. Last night, I slept on the couch for a little bit of time because I had a crick in my back that would not go away. I floated today. It's completely gone. I cannot even feel it. And so the reason that is so incredibly beneficial is, number one, so one of the things that I want to say right up front is you can't not float. So I came home, I talked to my wife. She has never floated. I've floated a little bit, so I'm kind of new in it, but I love it. I used to get into the sensory deprivation tank down at SLU back in the 1980s when I was an undergraduate, and this thing was in a dark basement, looked like a dungeon, and it was really really looked like something out of a horror movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, back in the day. But these things are bright. They are very roomy. They are incredibly well kept. They flush them out after every single time that somebody uses them. But when I came home today and I was talking to my wife, she's like, well, I couldn't do that because I can't float. And I'm like, no, you can't not float. And she's like, well, you need to tell people that because there are probably a lot of people out there that think, no, I'll sink. No, you don't understand. There's like 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt in these tubs.
You can't sink.
You cannot sink.
It's physically impossible.
It is exactly the same consistency as the Dead Sea.
Unless you're really fat, then you're not. Oh, wait, fat floats. Never mind.
Well, and not only that, but physically, this is rated so that there's no human being alive that could not float in this water. And so what happens is you get into the tank and you can turn off all the lights, you can turn off all the sound. You are in water suspended that is exactly the same temperature as the human body. You lose the definition between your skin and the water, and it's an incredible experience. And as we start talking more about it, as we get into it more, we'll talk about the brain science. But right now, I just want to tell you, the great thing about it is that this Epsom salt bath actually increases your buoyancy and decreases inflammation in your body. So if you have anything that is bothering you, like my back was bothering me from working out, it takes that pain away. The zero gravity of the flotation actually allows your body to naturally realign itself, much like going to a chiropractor. And what happens is that a lot of people who have been taking pain medication for a long time end up not taking that pain medication because they get so much benefit, so much physical relief from the flotation. And right now, if you go into Studio Anew, area code 314-858-9595, you tell them you heard it on Psych with Mike, you can get a 1-hour float and a 1-hour massage for $99, or a 1.5-hour float for $50. So that is the specials that they are running specifically for Psych with Mike listeners right now. So again, if you like the show and you want to support the show, if you have any kind of need of that, and everybody's getting their hair cut, then go down there and make an appointment with Studio Anew, studioanew.com, and go visit them. Tell them you heard about it on Psych with Mike. They will take great care of you. I am a huge fan. So let's talk a little bit. Let's get into this information about affairs. So as I had said, I've had several people who have come in and have had this as their presenting issue over the last couple of weeks and months. And so this is something that is on my mind, and so much so that I actually put some information together, and I put this on the @Psych with Mike Facebook page. So another PowerPoint that runs like a video, because what I've heard is that's the easiest way to view that information. You can stop the video to read each slide if you want to. But one of the things that is really I don't want to say significant, but is most important to me when we're talking about affairs is that there are actually two different ways to view that when a couple comes in to say, we want to work on our marriage, but there's been infidelity associated with the relationship. So in the United States, we are taught, we are educated to treat affairs as if they are betrayals, as if they are moral failings, as if the individual who has the affair is a perpetrator and the other partner is a victim. And that is not true anywhere else in the world. So everywhere else in the world, they actually train psychological professionals to view affairs as information about a problem in the relationship. So I'm not telling anybody out there that they should view it one way or another. What I am telling you is that there are other ways to view that. And if you go see a therapist and they are telling you that the only way that you can get through that is to view this as a betrayal and a moral failing, that's just factually inaccurate and doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. So the first thing that has to happen when a couple comes in and they want to talk about this and try and work through it is that we have to identify how the couple views this event, because not all couples view it as a betrayal either. And so if the therapist automatically says that's the only way I know how to work is that to see this as a betrayal, and you have a couple, let's say you have a couple that, came from France and then moved to the United States, and now they want to talk about this, I can't guarantee you, but I can tell you that it is a very, very, very strong probability that a couple from France is not going to view an affair as a betrayal or as a moral failing, because that's not the way that they are educated professionally in psychology, and it's not the way that their culture treats that kind of activity. So if a therapist automatically presupposes that that's the only way to treat the problem and tries to project that onto the couple, that may not be what the couple wants or what the couple needs. So the first thing that has to happen is that the couple has to decide how it is that they want to treat the way that they view that event. And if they do want to view it as a betrayal, I don't have a problem with that. I can work either way, but I tell people up front, these are your palette of choices. And together we have to decide how you see it as a couple. If you do see it as a betrayal, then we have to work on getting through that and getting to the other side of that chasm in a way that is healing for both individuals. But if you don't see it that way, then we shouldn't presuppose that that is the only way to operate. So if you are dealing with this, or you know somebody who is dealing with this, this is the first thing that I would encourage them to consider. And they can actually even consider that before they even go to the therapist and have conversations about it. Now, a lot of times what happens is that if you have infidelity working in the relationship, then the communication has already broken down to a pretty significant extreme anyway, so they may not be able to have that conversation. But if the couple is capable of having that conversation, then I would encourage them to be able to have that conversation long before they go and see the therapist. So when they go and talk to the therapist, they already have an idea in their minds. And even if they don't have the conversation, each individual can decide how they see this, and they can present that to the therapist when they go on that initial visit so that the therapist understands where these individuals are coming from. And so the reason why we view in the United States the relationship as violated and this as a trust issue is because of the Protestant history in the United States. So the United States was based on a bunch of individuals who came to this country who were Protestant Christians who came over here with a very, very Puritan ethic, and their ideas about monogamy then dictated the way in which the concept of marriage was viewed in the United States. And that's why we have so many people who have this idea that marriage is between a man and a woman. And again, I'm not trying to tell anybody what their conceptualization of marriage should be or what the right answer is. I'm just giving you the history of how this idea has evolved. So when the Protestants, the individuals who came over from England and other parts of Northern Europe, came to this country and settled, their ideas about how men and women coupled became the foundation for how we still feel about that today. But because we see this as a violation of the monogamous relationship, then we look at it as something where the individual who has been engaged in the affair has to pay a penance, and the individual who was the victim of the affair has to somehow be appeased. And that's just not the way that everybody in the world looks at it. But if you do look at it that way, then what do you have to do to be able to move past that? The biggest thing is that you have to be able to build trust. And trust is kind of a sticky animal. And so we're going to go to our next break. But when we come back, we're going to talk more about trust. We're going to talk about how to build that trust. Again, if you have any experience with this or you have any questions about infidelity in a relationship, give us a call, 314-969-9797. 866-455-9797. Be right back.
Life goes fast. It's hard to make the good things last. You realize the sun doesn't go down. It's just an illusion caused by the world spinning round. Do you
Talk lines are open now, 314-969-9797 or toll free 866-455-9797. On the 4th of July, join the 97.1 Freedom Fleet at the Riverfest Parade in historic St. Charles. The parade starts at 10 a.m. and is followed by a carnival, music, and fireworks along the Missouri River in Frontier Park. The 97.1 entry is sponsored by Granite Transformations.
Honey, it's time to leave for the game. Are you still in the basement? We're going to be late.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to clean up the water from last night's rain. These cracks in the basement walls aren't getting any better.
I told you to call Midwest Basement Tech. They fixed our neighbor's basement and it's been dry ever since. And Midwest Basement Tech even guarantees it.
Don't miss another second of your favorite game because of basement or crawl space problems. Call Midwest Basement Tech at 1-800-848-9805 or visit us on the web at MidwestBasementTech.com for money-saving coupons. You don't have to live with leaks, cracks, and mold in your basement. We work year-round and our estimates are free. Does your home's foundation have bowed or cracked walls? This could be a sign of foundation failure. Call now for a free expert analysis of your home's foundation problems. Serving both sides of the river. Call us at 800-848-9805 for your local service tech or on the web at MidwestBasementTech.com.
Hey, at our startup, my team and I move at the speed of tech 24/7. Bottom line, I just want the news that matters. So I turn to my local radio and TV stations. I want to hear from people who live and work in my town, people I know and trust. For the best entertainment, sports, news, weather, and traffic, anytime, anywhere, I stay local. Support your local stations. Text RADIO to 52886. Furnished by the NAB and this station. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out.
A summer clearance event. Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram buyers. Royal Gate is out to crush the competition because we are the driving force. With pricing no one else will even or ever offer. Trade-in money you'll never see from them, regardless of the trade's condition or how much you still owe. And credit approvals that make all the deals work. Shop RoyalGateCars.com and see what makes us number one for all the right reasons. Royal Gate, the driving force.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Weeknights, 9 to midnight. Mark Levin.
Who was the president? Who was the CIA director? Who was the attorney general when all this occurred?
Mark Levin. Weeknights, 9 to midnight.
We know who they are.
On FM News Talk
97.1.
Talk lines are open now. 314-969-9797 or toll free 866-455-9797. Follow Mike on Twitter at Psych With Mike. Now, more Psych With Mike on FM News Talk 97.1.
Welcome back into the Royalgate Dodge Ram Studios. So coming out of that break, or going into that break, we started talking about affairs. And again, if anybody has experience with that or has a question about that, give us a call, 969-9797. Intrepid producer Frank actually asked me a great question when we were on the break. He said, "Oh, so we're the only country that treats it as a moral failing. So, how does the rest of the world look at it?" And the reality is that it's only in the United States where individuals want the affair to stop because of the perception that you are having sexual relations with another person and that is morally wrong. So in most of the rest of the world, the reason that individuals want the affair to discontinue are financial. So they want the other individual to stop spending money. So they don't see it as a moral issue. They see it as a financial issue, and that is why it gets confronted. But before the break, what we were talking about is that if a couple is facing this issue, then the thing that has to happen is that you've got to be able to reestablish trust. And as long as you are focused on the actual events of the infidelity, then that becomes very, very difficult, because that breeds what we've talked about many, many times, which is rumination. So the feedback loop of thinking, where you just keep on thinking about something over and over again, and that just exacerbates your emotional response to it. So to be able to get off of that rumination cycle, what we've got to do is to stop vilifying the individual who had the affair and stop actually talking about the affair itself and all of the different positions and the nights that you saw this other person and all the places that you went for dinner and things like that, and start actually talking about what is it about the relationship that caused this to be something that could happen in the first place. So a good therapist friend of mine, talking about this issue specifically, used to tell me all the time, so it's like if you've got garbage in your garage, you can go out and you can dump the garbage pail on the garage floor, and you can pick up every piece of garbage and you can smell it and you can rub it all over yourself and you can lay in it and you can wallow in it, and you can do this over and over and over again. Or you can take the can of garbage out to the curb and let the garbage man pick it up. And that is a really good analogy for the only way that you can really get past this in couples therapy. Now, I'm not saying that anybody should get past it or must get past it. I'm saying that for the relationship to survive and to thrive, you have to get past it. If you can't get past it, then that is certainly 100% that individual's prerogative, but then it becomes very, very difficult and really impossible to rebuild trust. And if you can't rebuild trust, then you have to consider what happens next, which most likely is the termination of the relationship. And then people may actually need to talk about that and talk about, okay, if we're going to terminate this relationship, what does that look like? How do we do that? How do we do it civilly? If we have children, how do we do that in a way that doesn't destroy the developmental processes of the kids? So if we're going to work on, what I tell people when they come to see me is that I am going to assume that we are working on trying to maintain the relationship unless one of you tells me that that isn't what we're working on. So what that means is that if both partners come into the therapy relationship and they say, okay, we want to try and work on the marriage, then I'm going to work on the marriage. And even if people are saying, well, I want to work on the marriage, but I don't know, I'm going to continue to work as if the marriage is trying to remain intact and regain its health until somebody says, no, I don't want to do that anymore. And now I want to start talking about what it means to decouple. And the way that I work on that is that if the individual who was not a part of the infidelity needs to look at it as a betrayal, then the first thing that I say is, okay, you need to be supported, you need to be validated, but we need to also not vilify the other person. So as long as one person is all good and one person is all bad, there can't ever be a reestablishment of trust. So we may need to support and validate the individual who feels betrayed, but also try and understand the perspective of the other partner. And it's been my experience that most individuals, most partners who have engaged in infidelity would say to you, and they would be telling you the truth, that they have tried to engage their partner in conversation about things that they don't like in the relationship for many, many, many years, and that hasn't changed. And so they may not have been doing that well. They may not have, the other partner may not have been able to hear the way that they were presenting that information, but they have been trying to communicate that before they went out and engaged in the infidelity. And so they are frustrated also and trying to allow their partner to hear that and to understand that is the first way that we build trust. So I say to them, you need, the person who is feeling victimized, you need to be validated, but this other person also needs to be understood. Can you do that? And if the partners can do that, then we can start to try and rebuild intimacy in the relationship. And intimacy in the relationship is based on trust, and it's based on honesty, and it's based on empathy. So one of the things that I believe very strongly is that a person can't give away something that they don't have. So you can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself. You can't be honest with somebody else if you can't be honest with yourself. You can't trust somebody else if you can't trust yourself. So all of these things have to start with the individual. So the first thing that I really work on is, does each individual in this relationship have trust, honesty, and empathy for themselves, and then work on trying to promote that in their partner. Now, eventually, what I'm trying to do, even if we start out from the perception of this idea that the infidelity is a betrayal, what I'm trying to get to in either case is, what is the information in that this is giving us about the relationship? What is not working about the relationship that caused or allowed this to happen in the first place? And that is oftentimes something that requires a lot of real tender, loving care to be able to approach, because people are, when they come in and they talk about this issue, they're wounded. And so there's really a 3-stage approach that I use to be able to try and do this. And so stage 1 is the impact stage, and this is when we're trying to contain the damage and trying to minimize the emotional fluctuations. So what we're doing is trying to work on damage control in that impact stage. So I'm talking to them about, what is it that you feel? What would make you feel better? Is there anything about your partner that you can like and respond favorably to? So we're really trying to get into a place where each of these individuals start to like each other again. Because if they don't like each other again, then they're never going to be able to really get past this and start to build trust and rebuild the relationship. And then in that second stage, what we're trying to do is to understand in more depth why the event occurred. And so that is listening to the individual who had the affair and trying to understand where they're coming from and giving the individual who didn't have the affair an opportunity to voice whatever concerns that they may have about the relationship. Because in my experience, no matter how long this relationship has not been working, both individuals have things that they would like to see the relationship do better. And so both individuals need to be able to express those things and need to be able to try and get back from their partner some real messages of validation. And that's where this whole idea of the love languages comes in. And we've talked about those love languages before, the 5 love languages, which are gifts, acts of service, time together, physical touch, and words of affirmation. And so being able to understand what your love language is gives you the opportunity to then say to yourself, what have I done today to make sure that my partner actually knows that I love them? Have I spoken to them in a language that they understand? My analogy is, if I speak Japanese and you speak English, it doesn't matter how loud I shout, I love you, you don't understand me. And so if I am operating in a love language that I understand, but not a love language that my partner understands, then they're not getting the message. And so I need to understand my partner's love language to be able to communicate to them in a way that allows them to hear that I am understanding, that I am empathic, and that I love them. And then in that third stage, we are trying to move past the affair. And when we're moving past the affair, this is when we start talking about forgiveness. So I don't talk about forgiveness with my clients until I feel like we're in this third stage. So that means that before I ever say the word, before I ever say the phrase, can you forgive this individual, I've already talked about, we've got to get, out of our heads thinking about the affair. We've got to establish love languages and start to communicate with each other in a way that our partner understands. Then when we get past that, then I'm going to start talking about, okay, can you forgive this person? And if you can't, is there something you need to be able to do that? And if not, then what does that mean for the relationship? Because if you can't forgive this individual, then it's going to be really, really hard for you to be able to work through this and get to the other side of that other side of that chasm to really build strength back into this relationship. So that is a lot of information. Again, you can go on the @Psych With Mike Facebook page, and there is a video there of this PowerPoint presentation. You can always get questions to me, michaelmahon.org. That's where you can podcast the show. So again, if you like the show, support the new sponsors coming online. Herbie's is with us, Studio Anu is with us, Royal Gate is with us, and we are going to have more coming online all the time. Dave Glover will be here next week, so tune in next week and check out Dave. It's going to be a very intimate conversation, and hopefully everybody is going to enjoy that. I have had a really great day. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope everybody has a fantastic and safe 4th of July weekend. Again, you can follow me on Twitter @Psych With Mike. You can like us on Facebook @Psych With Mike. You can go to my website to podcast the show or communicate with me, michaelmahon.org. And as always, if it's Saturday night and it's 8 o'clock, it's Psych With Mike.
Your dreams, if I were giant-sized on top of the door, well, tell me what in the world would I sing for?
Follow Mike on Twitter @Psych With Mike.
Give you your dreams if I were giant-sized on top of the door, well, tell me what in the world would I go on?
A summer clearance event. Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram buyers. Royal Gate is out to crush the competition because we are the driving force. With pricing no one else will even or ever offer. Trade-in money you'll never see from them, regardless of the trade's condition or how much you still owe. and credit approvals that make all the deals work. Shop RoyalGateCars.com and see what makes us #1 for all the right reasons. Royalgate, the driving force.
America in transition.
Friends, critics, allies, all kinds of people are worried about it, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Making America great again requires more than 140 characters.
Internationally, China's state news agency is saying an obsession with Twitter foreign policy is undesirable. They're basically calling on him to shut it down, saying it's not child's play when you're dealing with these big issues in 140 characters or less. But listen, he made history by the way he used social media in the elections. Here's what Professor Michael Cohen from George Washington University told us about Trump's use of Twitter.
Most campaigns have teams of people who are designing tweets and testing tweets and rolling them out over time. If Donald Trump feels something today, he's going to tell you that.
We're told by his own staff, listen, he wants to tweet it, he does. So it remains to be seen if he might use his multiple Twitter accounts differently as president. Got that real Donald Trump versus the official presidential account he's going to get. In Washington, Shannon Bream, Fox News.
My name is Dale Pazinski, and this is how I live United. I volunteer with United Way, helping the homeless in my community by teaching computer skills and helping them build a basic resume to save on their very own USB drive. It's huge when somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
KFTK FM, Florissant, KFTK AM, East St. Louis, K254CR, St. Louis.
Powered by thehomeloanexpert.com.
FM News Talk, 97.1.
The president applauds veterans. I'm Carmen Roberts, Fox News. President Trump honoring veterans tonight and taking bows for a law he signed days ago.
It's called the Veterans Accountability Act. And now you can say, you're fired.
The law makes it easier to fire workers who, as the president puts it, let our veterans down. The commander-in-chief speaking before a huge crowd at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., with a message for veterans.
On behalf of our very grateful nation, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We will always, always remember what you did for us.
The president will leave the Celebrate Freedom rally to head back to his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey for the weekend. It was an 11-second melee in Little Rock, Arkansas, but it left scores of people shot and others injured as they tried to get away from the bullets flying through the club early today.
28 people, 25 of which were shot and no one is dead, speaks to a lot of things on our first responders and also our hospitals and how they were able to bridge with us to help these individuals.
Police Chief Kenton Butchner speaking to reporters, the shooting at the Power Ultra Lounge may be gang-related. Angry city officials say they'll close the club under a criminal abatement program. And the body of a 5-year-old boy found dead in California appears to be that of a boy who disappeared more than 2 months ago.
I believe we're going to need to, do a full exam and possibly try to match it with any dental records or whatever.
Ed Winter with the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. 5-year-old Ara Andresian Jr. was last seen at Disneyland, where he'd gone with his father and grandmother. They left the park together. No word what happened afterwards. The father was found unconscious 2 days later in South Pasadena. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather.
The official FM News Talk 97.1 Weather Center forecast calls for a warm, humid night tonight, but otherwise quiet, mainly clear, low 64 to 68. Hot and humid again tomorrow, mainly sunny with a high 93. Tomorrow night, mainly cleared, muggy, low 70 to 74. Hot, muggy day Monday, partly sunny with an afternoon or evening thunderstorm in spots, high 93. Another thunderstorm around the afternoon and evening for Independence Day. I'm meteorologist Frank Strait for FM News Talk 97.1.
Have you still not refinanced your mortgage? Well, soon you may be kicking yourself in the head. Hi, I'm Wesley Hogan with Westland Financial, and interest rates have gone up recently and will continue to rise, but they're still at historical lows. So don't delay. Let us lower your monthly payment, consolidate a first and second, pay off other debt, or drop you into a 15-year loan with no closing costs. That's right. Nothing's rolled into your loan. We'll pay for your appraisal, title, underwriting, settlement fee, everything. Do not miss out on this historic opportunity. Whether it's a purchase or refinance, you'll pay no closing costs. You won't spend a dime. Think about it. All it takes is a 5-minute phone call to find out how we can save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars a year. And by the way, Westland Financial now is proud to offer reverse mortgages for our clients over 62. So call us at 888-45